Before I realized this lesson, trading was hard. Long after working in finance with enviable experience, but when trading for myself, I would often make a mistake that held me back. It's a very honest mistake and one you only make when you're determined to succeed. I aimed to grow my account by 1% per day. I would always run into the same problems. I was aware that in trying to achieve my goal, I was holding myself back from it. Just a tiny 1% compounded every day turns let's start higher. It turns $1,000 into over 100,000 in less than a year. This stat and variations on it tempted me into strategies that were based on what I wanted to happen, rather than taking what was available for me. It's a very simple lesson, and that 1% per day or any percent on any schedule isn't the goal. My goal is to manage my risk. 1% a day is an unnecessary, ambitious goal for any account. Realizing this simple fact freed me to make much more on a regular basis and to be much more comfortable with taking acceptable losses. I don't have to end any day in profit. That doesn't change the risk schedule or the schedule of my bills, and so I include this when I make my trading decisions. I still use this statistic, and it has helped me every day for the best part of 2 decades. It helped me in planning this video. It helped me earlier today in a situation I'll not dwell on, and it can help you every day. But I use it differently now. I get 1% better every day. Not my account, but me. You, like me, will know where you started. We all know where we began. Me and the team I belong to ensure that 1% in each other. We all get 1% better at one aspect of our discipline, whether that be a particular trading strategy, a mindset, a reaction to events, or a win. We share the things we learned and that which works with each other. We share with each other. We're made for each other after all. We respect the system that we create, and we compound those benefits every day in each other. The lesson is to focus on improving your control over those things that can be controlled. Remember the goal, but it's unreachable without a method. If you want to know more, take my course at technicalanalysis.school. This message rolls off the tongue and sounds right up your street, I'm sure, but the doing is harder than the telling. Easier saddled than rode. And far fewer than I would like make it those 100 steps. Another brilliant lesson for those people who are still watching along, hit that like button, and who also follow Rocky Outcrop's coaching series. I used the example of 100 and upped it to $1,000 to start that compounding example. But consider these 2 questions. If I offered you $1 million right now, would you take it? Let me know in the chat box or in the comments below. If the only catch now, when I ask you again, is that I'll give you that $1 million, but you can't wake up tomorrow, would you take it? If you're a rational human being, then you wouldn't take that $1 million. you would agree that you're worth more than $1 million right now. So tell that to the inner voice that attacks you. Show it what you can turn that $1 million inside you into. Remember and never forget. Welcome back to Tradespotting.
And you're gonna get fucked up.
Blushing chart, so that's not the right layout, but this has got you all on it, and this is it. This is right. 4 hour. We'll go down to the 5 minute. Hit the automification button. Remember and never forget, folks.
I'm on the edge, I know the ledge. I work real hard to collect my cash. Tick, 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 take the time. When I'm going for mine. Open your ears and you will hear it. I tell you this cause there's no limit. No, 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 no. No, 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 no. No, no, there's no limit. No, 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 no. No, 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 no. No, no, there's no cause there's much crowd. Microphone check as I choose my route. I'm playing on the road, I've got no fear. The sound from my mouth is a rap you hear. No valley too deep, no mountain too high. Reach the top, touch the sky. You try to diss me cause I sell out. I'm making techno when I am proud.
That'll do, donkey. Right, after that important message, let's check in with the charts. This is, can you see it? I think you can see it, aye. This is the Millionaire Maker watch list. CASI, 22%. It's coming into its previous high. If I do this on this chart, I'll have the indicators up at the same time. CASI, right? You come in there, like we said, towards your previous high. RSI clearly not putting in exactly same strength at that break from the previous exit of the channel. So be cautious of that if you're not already in it at any of the executable moments. But still pushing up there, can't argue with that. 888. Rocky was talking about this one. A couple of good trades on it already. Bullish divergence on the low. It's met the 200 period moving average on the 4 hour, so risk is on. Thread up, you got a nut. That was 20%, 20%. This is thread up 11.94%. A flashback down at 187. So you'd be giving up a lot. You've come in and hit this target that we identified, 2618. Following the squiggle pretty well. These are important targets. If you want to know more about this, you're probably best checking that thread on Discord in the Active Trades Forum. Rocket Crops Discord. You can find that with the links in the description. So this target reached at 0 spot. What did it reach? Bloomin' heck. It got to 4.8. 0 spot 4.8 today. Anywho, look at it currently closed at 0 spot 4339. Huge percentage move, so congratulations if you're in that. And if you want know anything about it in particular, just ask me. GREE, likewise, continuing to the top side. Top today at 0 spot 78. Again, any questions, ask me. That held support that went through the 200 there. Ape, this is a Millionaire Maker series, so you're jumping between industries and sectors often here, going through the percentage moves. Ape, preferred equity with AMC. Back above that 200, simple. Nothing like the trades back when it first moved to the top side, though. If you want to talk more about that, of course, you can ask. ATIP, making a recovery, but from this deep lows. Did have bullish divergence, but you had enough of this previously, and it didn't keep you out of, falling out of this channel that we spoke about that got you to these potential entry zones. So we'll see how it progresses, but it's back at the entry, so hopefully most people are managing that position with stops now and able to handle it okay. Again, happy to cover that if you're interested. I think that maybe you've had a lot of the move that was on the go, the low risk opportunity available in Aston Martin. But in the same sector, same industry, there's still a lot to be said for Volkswagen. You got that deep value entry back now, testing the 200 period moving average in 4 hours. For 50 simple crosses, that 200 price action doesn't drop down below where it is at the minute, and I can see a lot on that. Black continues, reached the upside of that channel now. That was the target. I wouldn't be looking for the flash until such times as you break back above the prior high and start really trending that way. But there is an opportunity. Same in Oats. Now you came back down, tested that entry again. You've had these, made it to target huge percentage moves. If you want to take that again, I would suggest we do the TA fresh on it, but you got 20% so far. So we could have a look again. That's Volkswagen we talked about already, but VWAG is the ticker if you're OTC trading it in America. So you could just get a different broker that has access to LSE and not pay the fees. Definitely advisable. Sophie, a little bit more on that. FLGC, now I've had a number of trades on this way. I'm not looking at chat box enough, but I did see earlier Mr. Azamat saying hello. Hello, Mr. Azamat. And I'm not missing any questions, I don't think. Don't see any missing any there. Marry me, any. You having a good time with any then? Tell me about any. Are you doing all right with any? You don't have to divulge anything too much, but let me know how that's treating you there. If your position is doing good or what do you think? So Flora Growth Corp also offering up a potential here if they do manage to create a trend on the RSI. I suspect that breaking back above the center line on this would come with a retest, and that might give you confirmation of this trend line, at which point you'd be looking at a third touch of positive momentum pushing it then towards the 200 period moving average back at 0.32, possibly. Big percentage move, maybe another 50% before you've even questioning whether or not this is going to make it to target at 0.44. CAT, still waiting for this to move up so we can take a reliable short on it. Sure, you could take it from the top side of this formation where it's been with the divergence, but this looks like an accumulation ahead of a potential breakup again, which I'd be a little bit very weary of going short on from here. But if it does break down, we've got other horizontals. Whoa, as I move around for the spatial. It doesn't work like that. You just don't hear me when I'm off the mic by an inch. Any is a wonderful thing. Good. On any, I bought at 5,000 at spot 36 and sold them today at spot 46. Getting ready for round 2 next week. Awesome. Praise. Good. Freaking brilliant. Good work. Good work. Right. Well done. Brave. Deserve that. Deserved a good result there. My charts are all up. Everything's working all right. It's good. Whew, you're right. And not that I need to worry. I've not done all that much. Happy to go over anything again. Anyway, solo. Whew, back at the basis line of that channel. Break above that could be a huge move on the top side of the channel for a start. Snow. Like, these are just things, right? So you tell me you want to look at, this. I know a lot of people will be in various trades across this watch list, which is huge. It is huge. So there'll be people in things that I've not touched on. Zinc. I mean, a lot of people aren't taking alts and zinc and that. They don't have access to trade some of these things. But like UEIC, like a lot of people will be looking at that potential thing. Bitcoin, obviously. CVX, a lot of people looking at this with the M come back down again. XLE, people were short that. Pretty sure most people got out of it at the right time, but it was also interesting. Amazon, a lot of people looking at Amazon recently. Amazon are interesting, I think, because of their commitment to capital expenditure in a very traditional way of growing a company, a listed company, compared to others, because it's become the fashion recently to, instead of taking the entrepreneurial risk for innovation, to instead acquire somebody else who's done all that hard work and taken the risk. The way Amazon get around that paradigm is by facilitating a distribution network for those individual sellers, creating the Amazon marketplace, of course. And then I think that's interesting because that allows them to then capital expenditure to be on creating new systems that improve efficiencies within that really high value market, or alternatively in creating innovative new products that they get the highest return on down the line, which is the maximum way of benefiting long-term shareholders. That's the best way. I think personally, if I was looking at that company on a board of a company like that, it's very. So, but that's the way I would look at it. Alternatively, you've got the opportunity to buy companies who've taken those risks instead of doing the capital expenditure, CapEx, right, just to save them to the time. You've got the opportunity to just acquire somebody else who's already taken that risk, which has become the fashion in the last 15, 20 years. And then alternatively, with the same cash that you could invest in those two things, you can do a share buyback, which will lead to increasingly die-hard investors holding and weaker hands selling out throughout that process. So there is long-term consequences for companies' stock price based on each of those three dynamics. Obviously, lots of other factors included, but I think that there are distinct business philosophies, all of which those people who employ them explicitly understand them to be such. And I think it's an interesting concept, but we could talk about more about that if you like. That was Amazon. And then we've also got loads of other things. SPY, interesting to people. Oh, we talked about it recently. In at the 5 minute, hit the auto notification button. Still in this channel, bounced once. not a completely convincing recovery so far on price action, but you have put in a higher high most recently. It's just you haven't exceeded any important horizontals, nor tested that prior high. So we want to see the RSI push into the bullish control zone and price action then start making moves on SPY. Good that we got the 412 closed by the end of the week. My daughter had her final interview with the Jump League. I can't see my cameras in front of that little bit of the chat, so I have to wait until it comes the second most recent message to read them. I had a dear chance to get her out. Yeah, darn right, no Martha and stuff. What's she up to anyway? She's like legit a criminal, isn't she? What's she been doing? Martha, gangsta Martha. So, yes, so SPY. 412, we got the close. That's what we were talking about with regards to the open interest and how shorts were driving the market. I notice people, I mean, I can't avoid it because there's a certain level of notoriety or fame that you can achieve, after which it seems like it doesn't matter how much pish you spew, you will always maintain a level of credibility with the mob. And that's what Michael Burry has achieved. So when he says things like, oh, you buy the dip like no other generation, I get like forced to see that messaging because I've been siloed with those same people who like that crap. So the truth is, it's a stupid comment. It's obvious that the reason that every dip is being bought is because there's so much short open interest. The balance is absurd, and every time price dips, they close their positions because they're up and can get a breath of air, and then they go back down again, right? They're drowning, they're not waving, and they close their positions, which brings up every dip. It's really simple dynamic. It's really obvious when you understand charts, and it bamboozles me that he can be so off base and so wrong. And Rocky and I talk about this a lot. Like, it's some sports people tend to get worse at as they get older, even though they should be getting better. Like, for example, snooker, right? You might know it as billiards or play pool, right? But people tend to get worse. Like, the people that are world champions, typically they'd be like when they're younger. And as they get older, I used to watch it and think, right, it's because they're all total pissheads. Like, they're all like, they're back in the 80s, like swally. Oh, is it my shot? Are you sure? You can just go, blah, blah, blah. It's like sploshing every day at the snooker. And then nowadays, though, they don't do that, but they still get worse as they get older. And you're like, how can you? I mean, it's like practice. You're getting like 10,000 hours, 100,000. You must be amazing by now. Like, you'd be like, boom, clean 147. Anyway, that's like, anyway, long story short, they get worse. What's that all about, right? Eh? It's a scam. Snooker's a scam. That's what it is. Same with golf. Like, if you don't know what snooker is, it's like golf, right? But like, not as good for you. So pitching, it's like pitching putt, aye, but without the pitching bit. It's just the putting bit. Bing bong, damn it, smash, smash, bong. Bing, bing, bong, 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 bong. Slow learner, how are you doing, sir? Jordan, how are you doing, sir? How are you doing, sir? We had Mr. Marshall, sir, who bought 6 people membership gifts. Eh? How good is that? Pretty darn good, I think. And we had Corman, who donated $10 and said, cheers. What are you up to, Wheel? Were you around for any of that, Wheel? You're supposed to notify me. The printer's having issues. It's the wheel just didn't move, but it's so silent I didn't hear it. It might actually have happened. Anyway, it's off again. Thanks, Corman. It's appreciated. Boom. So I won't be drinking because I'm still ill. The reason that I seem to have any energy is because of Beecham's cold flu plus stuff. You know, the stuff that used to, like, I don't think it's got what it used to have in it. Somebody must have threatened to test them or something. Because it used to be definitely like taking something illegal. But now it's kind of mild. Maybe that's something like the people getting worse at snooker, though. There might be something in that. Sorry, I have a 9-foot pool table. A real one. A real one? Oh, yeah, that's right. You lucky. What's that on then up on the screen? I have to make this bigger. I don't know what that changes for you guys. Nothing. Purple? Well, I suppose we've got it at a strange angle, but what does that say? Chat. Well, there you go. I would have been on the tee anyway. How are you, rational human beings? As such, you all value your lives at worth way more than $1 million. And when you understand that concept and weigh it against whatever it is you're trying to achieve at trading, there will become realities apparent to you that will reflect areas where you could improve upon either the method of how you'll achieve your goals or the timeline of which you plan to achieve them in. You'll notice when you say like, oh, I wish I could make $1 million from trading, and you consider every morning you wake up that you wouldn't swap the right to do it tomorrow for $1 million. You're already worth what you're trying to achieve. And so it's not that goal, really. It's mostly the method that you're working on, becoming a profitable trader, and that isn't measured in the percentage increases in your account, because the biggest improvements you'll make as a trader are those when you commit to a learning schedule, which is devised by somebody who can already trade, and or you figure out some other successful method which doesn't teach you stuff that you don't need to know and or is wrong. Right, I have to put that in there, right, because I'm trying to deliver a real message, and I really do believe the answer is to take my course, but I do know that there are other people who will become good traders without doing it. So there's all so it's hears and rests on the ears credibly, but the truth is your progress will never be measured are correlated to the percentage increase in your account, because the biggest improvements you'll make are those that begin at the start of your structured journey, when you know very little that works, to figuring out those things. That's huge, and it won't have any positive percentage increase on your performance tab or whatever. It'll just eliminate much of the mistakes you make that hold you back. And a lot of increasing the whatever percentage it turns out you get every day, week, month, or year will be in removing those things that hold you back. And that is the biggest part of trading, and that is managing your risk. So like I say, take the course. Also, spin the wheel, spin a wheel. Spin a wheel. And let me know what you're trading, if you want to look at anything in particular. SPY. Will we see it below 400 again? Good for them. I would never have lasted this long without a course and all the learning from Discord. Yo! Well, I wasn't talking about your typical day trader. I mean, they go bankrupt, and it was a very high ratio of 90% within a couple of years will go bankrupt, and that's only increased, believe it or not, in the last couple of years. It's got worse. Retail traders have got worse statistically, despite the fact that they've increased in number and quantity over quality. Of course, that would be the nature of things. If you think about it, of course, it would be true. So don't let yourself be one of them. Also, people seem to have got this belief that retail traders can like affect the price of things. That's such a silly concept. You can only do that when you control the supply of things, or that supply is very, very, very imbalanced. And typically that would be because the people on the other side of the trades have created those conditions, not you. So focus on those things you can control. It's a very important message. But it's often misunderstood. Right, so what else did I want to talk about? Well, I wanted to go through the things, but I'm also aware there's a lot of them, and then delivering, I mean, there's so many things. What's like, even things that are like this is like down 9.65%. But that's after it's made up to the flash target up here at 381, come back tested 200 at 298. ATIP, a little bit more on ATIP, we can do that, yeah. So here we are in the zoomed in time frame as well. So I'll start somewhere a little bit bigger, but not where we were before. Is there a 4-hour flash there as well? Is that what it is? That's not my trade entry, isn't it? Yes, so 50 simple 200 negative slope, and you haven't managed to see the 50 simple. Oops, I'll just start on price action. Thank you. Haven't managed to see the 50 simple above price action since ever. Right, basically since ever. Pardon me. So we're not going to learn that much from that. Price action's relation to the 50 simple. Well, it touches it once, rejected, but previously it was back above it. Trending with price action. It's also not delivering us all that much information. We can see that we had this prior downward sloping channel. Price action slipped out of that, and had you recovered back at the departure point, that would have been displacement. A lot of people then will look at this event as having not achieved that test of can it manage to return to the formation which it came from. Does that mean that we can take that failure as confirmation of a new trend? The trend was to the downside, and that trend only really continues here, doesn't dramatically increase. The most apparent example you'd have of that would be a double test of this bottom, which you've had now, down at whatever that was, 0.219. So on the first test of what would be seen to be, the most significant point since this departure, we made a move, which took us here ultimately. The retracement that ended was in line with this previous downward sloping trend, which is part of that channel we were speaking about. So at that point, the question is that a failure would be confirmed as the way that lower highs and lower lows work when you would then exceed this previous low, a lower low, which would mean this would have to have exceeded where it didn't, right? It didn't manage to get lower than it. And the test of that area would be expected not to break on the very first pass of an area created on the first touch. So the second area, which is why you get double bottoms. And then you'd be looking to see, are we putting any sort of reversal formation? One of the first things you'd look to would be the retracement, the strength of the retracement back up again. We'll measure that first in terms of price and say a retracement back above a 236. We do see that, that's positive. We look to the moving average, well, we see a test of one, not an open, close, open, close, open, close above it, but so halfway there. Other than that, 4-hour time frame, probably have to turn on oscillators. Back above Sentinel line RSI, MACD, that's positive. You've got your cross, and let me see there. Where are you, MACD signal line? Oh, you're way down here. I can feel a sneeze coming on. I can feel it. Here it comes. Quickly. False alarm, everybody. False alarm. False alarm, thank goodness. Right, probably blame it on the MACD. Eh? What did I ever do to you? Right, thank you very much. But the sneeze never happened. It was a false alarm. It's a scam sneeze like everything else nowadays. So, yeah, there it is up strong. Right, back on it, Tradespotting. Right, so... yeah, I mean, double bottom, you're looking for interesting things and I'm not finding them. That's why my brain's wondering. So hit the automification button on the 1 hour time frame. You had bullish divergence on this low. You had a gap, you filled that. You could have come back down afterwards. You didn't. So that's positive. If you're looking for positive signs, you've made it to 200 period moving average on the 1 hour, which is not a coincidence considering where the 50 simple is on the 4 hour. Tradespotting, camera is frozen. Camera, thanks for the heads up. Where is the camera button? This one? Oh my goodness, the camera is frozen. Look, I have a mildly concerned look on my face. Ha ha ha. Worse things could have happened. It could have been mid-sneeze. I could fix that. Couldn't I? Right, so, wowie. You have not yet achieved anything all that super duper house-spialidocious. You are putting in what would be seen to be continuation divergence if you made a significant retracement, and having made none at all since this most recent low, it is possible that happens. So... even though this is a much better value entry than here, it doesn't necessarily conform to the same reasons for taking this trade setup that has been previously identified. And as such, I don't think that it would be wise to accept a stop loss that was conceptualized itself based on this low if your entry and did in fact happen back here or as a result of analysis at this time. So if you're looking at the trade you conceptualized in price action anytime before here in real life, well, this is like obviously now back in time, and you were looking at price action here, you were already in this trade, you didn't take profit here, right? Say you didn't think it got to a significant enough level for you to do so. And here you are back at the previous entry, and you're wondering, what do I do, right? And say, for example, for some reason, you took your stop loss off and or you never had one. And then we hit play, and this is what the sort of situation evolves, right? It comes down here and you think, oh no, dearie me, but there is this, this is a 1618 extension looking left, right? But it did hit that. And so maybe there's an opportunity and it goes on up again. And you're like, great, that's brilliant. And you start thinking about your trade because the reasoning of it is now this entry, which you didn't take, you were back here. That might lead you to adjusting stops based on what's going on here, but that's not your trade. That wouldn't be your trade at all. You'd be looking at this trade and thinking how now you're at a 200 period moving average. You haven't had a retracement on this move. That would be very normal to see a retracement due to the theories of distribution and the standard deviation, and as such the theory of return to the mean, and how that would likely mean, no pun intended, that you'll be taking some sort of a retracement. And if you've previously put in a level of resistance or support, then when price action exceed those levels, on the next time they meet, it may well be resistance has become support or vice versa. At this stage, you had resistance a number of times, once, twice, you broke through it. We haven't yet tested it since exceeding it on this move. And so an area to find support might then be that resistance, which if we look left takes us beyond a 236. So if we were to have a retracement, which itself we can define as being possible and likely, then we can see that it might take us beyond those areas that we would also consider to be significant, and then make follow through likely. If we combine that with what we see as continuation divergence on RSI, we can get an early sign that if price action does pull back and doesn't give us the opposite of that signal we're presented with now, then it likely is that we're going to face continuation. I say we, I mean price, and what that means is putting in a lower low. So this wouldn't be the end. It would be two lows like we see across here, bullish divergence, and a signal that gave you an entry, a good trade, but not that which is conceptualized from here. So that is my take on ATIP if you entered before. Otherwise, if you looked at this entry, same. Your stop loss, it's the same rules apply. Now, I outlined a scenario makes sense to anyone who is justifying decisions along the important aspects to the strategy that I just defined. But if instead you're looking along and you did just take this entry, that is a very positive trade, then where you place your stop is also exactly the same considerations, because there's a 200 period moving average. You're protecting profit, not just capital, and that's how you get rich. 1% a day is very easy if you take that which is available to you. And if you're looking to move your stop tight, I would be just saying that would be advisable, and just anything beyond a 236 there makes perfectly good sense. If you did then want to have it beyond a pullback, then you might look left and say that's not 0.26. If instead you were looking at the retracement on this Fibonacci, you might be happy to take it way back and have portions of your position on stops if you're already in profit, and I'd say that would be the fib to look to. The fact that you put in a gap and exceeded it and then kept on going is very positive. So if you were to go back into that area, that would be involving a golden pocket retracement down at 0.25. I'd say that looks very bad, and you'd be looking at a potential double bottom on this most recent move, not on the macro chart. So that would be how to manage that position based on entering either of these two positions, which I imagine most people would cover most potential people without anyone having to reveal anything. And then with regards to how it might evolve when it goes to the top side, well, that's all still true of those previous trades, because at this stage, having broken out of this formation and like going back now to the 4-hour time frame and defining things with these lower highs and lower lows. If you are to start changing this trend, the question then becomes, well, what was the previous trend, and do we test that? So if it does prove to be that this is the low, this double bottom doesn't get exceeded, even if it does come with another test, and on the micro levels and the lower term time frames we see it is a double bottom right now. If that then leads to a reversal formation and this thing manages to make it back into that previous formation, the downward sloping channel, we could now do something, this ticker could now do something that wasn't possible before, which is it could recover a previous formation without having exceeded a prior high, which would give it a bullish posturing, which would suggest it could then go on and attempt to try that level again, which would be confluent with the previous evolution of having tested a previous level of support and not broken it. So come back up and test a previous level of resistance rather than look for the lower high, which would be in line with the trend identified here, that being something in and around these levels. Instead, you could come back and test that prior high, and that might well be what happens. And if it exceeds that, you've got the downward slope and basis line and then the topside resistance of that formation. You'd be looking at displacement. You'd also probably be talking about, if that was happening, huge volatility signatures blowing up just beforehand. You do have something like that about to go on, and ATIP could be now making one of those moves. Like I say, I'd be managing my risk really tight, but if you're talking about topside moves, this thing could not only break back into that formation, but if it did do so, it would break back up to the top side, and you'd be testing then not the highs within this breakdown formation, but if you manage to exceed this guy, make it through the basis line on this channel, I don't think the top side here is going to hold you for long. I think you'll go back through, you'll do an 886 retracement. That'll be a short, sharp shift. Price action will bounce there a couple of times, and then it'll go on. You'll test the prior high within the formation. Up here, a full extension, back at $1, and if it exceeds that, it'll then start testing higher highs within the formation that it left. And that's huge moves. Huge moves. But the only way you'd ever take advantage of this is if you manage the risk on the tiny little moves, where it is at the minute, down here. These sort of things. Which you can do if you're comfortable with losses, and if you manage your position, your strategy, and yourself, then you'll have enough shots at this. Here, if the camera was on, all my dashingly good looks to the camera would have emphasized the importance of my points there. You're welcome, Lisa. Thanks very much. Thanks very much. You're welcome, Lisa. Thank you for being such a fantastic part of the team. You're brilliant. Right, what else then? See, you could have got that if you just asked me. Anybody who's trading anything, which probably would have been helpful if you're trading anything. You know, that's right. Good wheel assistance. The wheel is broken. Is it? I gotta fix this wheel. President donated $25. If you closed your any trade today, what do you think about those 2 and 3 hour flashes that formed today? Looking for an entry, but momentum seems to be on our side right now. Any 2 and 3 hour flashes? Yes, this 2 hour flash. Go away, replay. Did I put time forward ever there? I did, didn't I? Phew. Oh, well, I mean, I can see now on price action, but yeah. Go away indicators for a minute. Well, off price action indicators. So you're looking at some 2 hour flash, are you? Here's your 2 hour. That formed today. Am I blind? It's happened before. It has happened before. Or is it the 2 hour 4? Spot am I? I'm not seeing it there, but it could well be there. 3 hours. Ah, I see. Back at the 200 period moving, or the 50 simple period moving average. And you've just touched the 50 simple on the 200 period moving average. Where it's also true to say 50% retracement, 86 retracement. Yeah. Dave Stevens, Jimmy, thank you for trying to recruit. Jimmy, thank you for trying to help me. I consider you a friend. I will try to pay you back more when I can. Thank you very much for the $10, David. I would say that it pales in comparison to the great offense you caused me when you reacted so negatively to Rocky's comment earlier on Discord. To let you know, he wasn't speaking to you in the comment you replied to and took offense to. He was speaking generally to an imagined hypothetical person that I had created in order to deliver a point again to somebody else, which was essentially positive. And you reacted negatively at the time, so very negatively, and I took it as a kick in the teeth personally, and I know that Rocky took it quite badly. And I'd put so much time and effort into you, you know, and your goals and your objectives, totally at my own sacrifice for you. And not just me, but so many other people also wanted the best for you in that community of people who I feel like real tenants of that community, real important people there who make it so much of what it is, wanted you to do well. And they took that quite shocking when they saw that moment, you know, they did. And I was aware, though, that while it'll affect them in the moment greater than it did you, that it would be to your loss that that event had happened. It was a very knee-jerk reaction. And it doesn't serve you well, nor does that behaviour. I'm sorry to say this as the $10 donation comes in, but it trumps that. There was a big lesson for you still there in that moment, and I imagine if you were to properly apologise, there'd be a way back. But I don't want to prompt you to do that. It's entirely your own decision how you handle things. But it was what you have to remember, and probably weren't aware of, which I would give you a pass on, is that there's always people out there trying to do others harm. And in an environment like Rocky's Discord, it can be very easy to forget that because it's a safe space where people are only supposed to be kind to each other. And it's easy to forget that. But there are the odd malignant person or people hanging around every so often that like to jump on these moments and increase their pain or impact on Rocky or I. And they particularly like to do it when one of us is under the weather, or both of us. That seems to be how they strike. It's very pathetic, really. And so it's really unfortunate to ever be used by these people as one of their tools of destruction. And so it's best advised to try and avoid being used by those people who were in that moment using you after you left to try and increase the damage at that time. Those people are best avoided, I think. And let's be honest, I think most people know that it's not yourself, David, that was the worst behaved in that moment. It was others. And I really want to say, in that moment, a number of people really stood up for themselves, the community, and what we're trying to create. And I came away from that experience really positive about Rocky Outcrop Discord, when it could have been a different way. And that was due to the reaction of everybody else in the chat box there and how everybody pulled together so very well. Appreciated it a lot, and I know Rocky did too, so thanks everybody there. But David, yes, you know,
took the time to make that point when it doesn't benefit me or this YouTube channel, because it's more important than the $10 from you or others who would give me it without realizing who I am. And you're right. You did and were a friend, but never forget that I earned your respect in a moment when you should have shown it and didn't. So while we can still be friends, I'm aware that that reality is one we share. So 12-hour time frame, for some reason I'm here. Yeah, well, we booked through whatever, right? Like 12-hour time frame, let's go to the, like, this is what you're going to see on the daily time frame, because there's 3-4 hours in any given daily trading period for any stock. But the 3-hour time frame where we found the flash might have presented us with different information. So I found myself there. Hi, David. Hello again. Right. So anyone that can persist through my chastisement deserves that consideration at least. Right. But I don't make the rules. You know, I don't make the rules. I just try to stick to them. I make rules that suit my own trading, and I appreciate when fantastic moderators over in Rock Outcrop's Discord make decisions. Their decisions are not taken lightly, you know, and they're their decisions, not mine to make. So, and I appreciate them for making them. Right, so I explained the 12 hours, 3 times the 4 hours, so that made sense. The 3 hour we're looking at because of the flash. The 2 hour, I didn't see a flash. So let's go back here. 3 hour flash, 0.3550. This was an important distinction point to break through it. That's why we left the flash when we went through there, because nobody believed it was going to happen. See, that's how the indicator works. And people are like, how does the Rocky Outcrop indicator work? Well, it goes in, you know how you'll have seen it, like all these different reporting statistics come out, and it's top CEOs or champions of industry who fill out surveys on a regular basis telling you how they feel this month compared to next month. You know, literally, this is how I'm going to feel next month based on how I felt last month. And this is how I feel right now, and it's not good enough. Or, oh my goodness, I'm so excited. It's typically their two feelings, and then anything in between is just still not interesting. But that's what they do. They write on these for it. And anyway, it's similar with Rocky Outcrop Flash. They have to all say what they did or didn't expect and where they're going to make the price go back to in future. And they all fill it in. They deliver it to me every morning by a magpie. And it comes in with every ticker in the world and says, today, this is what we didn't expect, and so as such, this is where we're going then next time. Yeah, so just like that, it might seem incoherent to you, but it's delivered by Magpie, so how are they going to write like the old English? These people are an enigma in the world. People actually caring and helping the strangers. If we had more people in this world like this community, we could cure hunger, homelessness, and a lot more maybe even. Hey, that would be good, wouldn't it? Hunger and homelessness. Aye. So yeah, they're very distinct problems, though. We could definitely have a bash at both. We haven't done a charity thing for hunger yet. Did mental health and homelessness, so hunger would be a good one. Though there was a couple other things I was hoping to do on that front. That's a good point. Sadness, all I'm saying, this community gives so much to strangers that you just do not see anymore. Keep it real close. Thanks very much, slow learner, buddy. There are loads more people like us, aren't there? There definitely are. Right. So, Annie, what did we say? Did I get very far? I don't know if I did. I was just explaining concept. Nobody really looking for that. Daily seems 12 hours. We've already done that. In the 4 hour, there is a flash in the 4 hour. This is what you might have been. Here, missus. Was it the flash on the 4 hour? Is that what you meant? Probably did, and probably said it, and I didn't see it. So there's that. I mean, there's 3 in a day, like I said. And it did put them in today because it's within the previous 3. Hey, look at you and me, eh? Really cracking this nut open. So yeah, I returned to 4053, and then we can't rule out the other one down another 50 cents. Well, it's not, is it? Because it's less than 50 cents itself at the minute. Ha ha ha. Hey, what am I saying? I'm in this. Right, so, yes. My 2 hours is spot 3599. Well, maybe I have a 2 hour too, do I? No. Well, that's interesting. So your 2 hour is in and around where you find the 3 hour. At 3550, and you have 3599. Pardon me. We're trending away from it at the minute, but you can't really say the trend has been significantly established. If we look at the previous moves, so far we've made a retracement that made it to the 886 and no further. That would be very typical of our retracement that would go no further. And where we would find it very commonly, that move would be on Bitcoin. Here it is on a Bitcoin miner. So what do we think? Well, again, it's back to the Bitcoin. And it's back to looking at where the potential test of support would be, should it go there, and what implications that would have for any, which itself is more reflexive in that it'll have bigger percentage moves, even though it might be correlated to specific charts that are going the same direction. So I would look for Bitcoin. I'd look to see if it had a retracement, and if that was going to come in line with an increase in volatility, in which case perhaps you'd be looking at strong retracements back down to those flash targets. Until then, I'm not looking in that direction. Bitcoin closed after a very positive week. Futures are closed, Bitcoin clearly open, and it's been trending to the top side. So if Bitcoin is to move down and futures then open with a gap to the top side, I'd very much expect it to be filled quick sharpish, and it would then maybe be, depending on the opening range on Bitcoin futures during trading hours on Monday on New York hours, if in that period of time Bitcoin persists either where it closed or recovers any gap it's made, then I wouldn't be looking for any during that period to come back and fill these flashes until such times as Bitcoin broke through what is current support, which it may well create in the doing of opening again futures on Monday. So I'd be thinking about that, and I'd be thinking about how the implications that yourself and the wonderful people in the crypto Discord talked about when we investigated Rocky's comments on how common it is for Bitcoin to fill and exceed gaps to the top side in trending bullish markets, and how often it ignores gaps underneath in bullish trending markets, and then vice versa for bearish markets. And we've looked back to that conversation, things we talked about at the time, and other wonderful people on there talked about at the time, and then I think we get an idea of what's going on with regards to any. It could obviously be that these flashes could get filled and that you're not exceeding on these time frames where you find them, you're not exceeding all the important moving averages, though it would be a little bit exceeding important ones to get there, not all of them. What was that 2 hour flash with regards? Where is now the 2 hour flash now disappearing? I definitely had a 2 hour flash. Is it moved to the 3 hour? No, it wasn't. I didn't have a 2 hour flash. That was yours. I had the 3 hour flash, and I've already been there. And then it was the where was the other one? The 4 hour. Yeah. Now I'm confusing myself. Yes, so I can't even now. I've forgotten what I was talking about before. What if, in terms of a retracement back down again, if we take it from the low, which, whoa, it's so far away now, 236, beyond that flash, 50% retracement would be back down and fill in all of them, testing 200 period moving average on a 4 hour time frame, and coming back to a previous level of resistance. If we're also talking about this on the daily time frame, drawing in downward sloping resistance, you know, are any of those flashes active right now? The 4 hour is, isn't it? Oh my god, it is. Oh my god, it is. Here, right? Oh my god, it is. I have a trade on at the minute, which I am testing out a Rocky Outcrop flash strategy on. It had a flash up. It was only $3 up, 10% up on the stock price. And I talked about it on Discord, on the oil thread on active trades. And the option contracts went up like 170% yesterday, and then like 180% this morning, and then another 100% this afternoon. And I was obviously had loads of sensible take profit orders in, but I kept showing it to Rocky like, look, this is hilarious. It keeps happening. Like, because it's his flash thing that makes it. And like, I didn't care about this thing at all. I only tested his flash strategy. I talked about it all there on Discord. I even mentioned some of it here yesterday, I think. And yeah, and I was like, look at that. And I was only ever looking really at the unrealized profit and loss figure, you know, but it was on my mobile phone, so I wasn't really actually looking. And I was doing other things. As you probably know, if you were in Discord, there was a little bit of disturbance. So I was there doing stuff and wasn't. And it was only after the market closed, I looked at it and I'd sold most of the contract. I didn't notice I'd been taking profit because I was looking and it was going up so much in there. So anyway, yeah, that was great. Why am I talking about that? I'm sure I had a real reason for it. What was I talking about? It wasn't even any. It was something else. Why was I? Oh, it was because of what I just saw on any. It's because of what I just saw on any. The 2 hours active. Yes, so it's this 4 hour, isn't it? I mean, the 4 hour would be better. If the 4 hour isn't, it is though. The 4 hour is. 4 hour is active. I don't know for sure if it is or not. Bell. 3 hour is. Well, I'll think about that some more and I'll get back to you on Discord. 60 ounces of water. Add like 60 cups of tea. I don't know what ounces are. They're like some sort of animal, aren't they? Ounces. They're like cheetahs or something. Or like saber-toothed tigers. That's what an ounce is, isn't it? An ounce. I had a guy try to sell me an ounce once. I didn't realise it was an endangered animal. Anyway, what are we talking about here? I can't remember. My brain's falling off. My brain's falling off. Thank you, David Stevens, for supporting the show. Thank you, President, for donating $25. I know I didn't completely finish my thoughts on any, but I will do. It is a mythical creature, so rah, rah, rah. People are always losing ounces here and there, or putting them on. I don't know. It must be like a jumper or something. And Carmen, $10, 42 minutes ago. Appreciate it. Hey? So thanks very much for yourselves for supporting the stream. I'm probably going to take it easy now, but you guys could join each other on Discord and have a great time. You'd have such a great time in the old Discord there, on the events there section. Jump in there, events, Friday nights. Get on in on the fun, everybody. I can feel the medication falling off on this part of my head. I've got a really badly broken nose a number of times because I'm a real cheeky bastard, isn't it? And also like... well, I mean, the army guy should never have been stood there, right? It's like you were right in, like, I mean, it was my garden, right? And I was drunk. How was I supposed to know? Like, anyway, so when I get like a bad cold, like one side of it, for whatever reason, probably that, it like gets all like bigger than the other. And then it like, my whole nose bones all like start creaking into each other. And it's like, it's great. It's really great, actually. Gives me an early warning that I need to take some painkillers. It's really good, actually. It's brilliant. CASI. Oh, that's right. CASI. So this is, immediately you would look at that and say, broke out of a formation. Well, I mean, I've drawn it somewhere, so I'm going to say it's a formation, but I don't see it there. I'm going to have to go back. Go back. Right, yeah. So it was a real downward sloping channel. Get it up on a weekly. Start off with. Yes. So, fairly significant. I mean, we've taken that to the extreme to get the third touch there, but let's just then take it down to the body closes wicks, and it's got more touches. And then having made it there, let's go back to the accuracy up there, and go back to the 4 hour time frame. This looks like a retest of that formation. In terms of a retest within the scope of the Fibonacci, the body closes held the 382, which should be a bullish retracement and no further. I reckon, Katie, A lot of people have tried. And yes, so you've broke out, you've retested that area, and you've come back up without leaving any gaps on the 4-hour time frame. That's very positive. You've had a cross on the moving averages, 50 above the 200 period moving average. On the daily, you've not had that moving average cross yet. Right, so what information retest and price action now testing back up, and I want to check the order, see that it's in the bullish control zone. That's positive. A lot of people would look at this when it breaks 3.70 and jump in then. The target at 470 would be a huge percentage move, justifies the risk if you've also got a stop immediately there around 360, 366. You betcha I'll get into that next, Komodo Dosh. You betcha, no worries. So the 200 period moving average retest at the same time, I'd say that qualifies as you went through that and retested the formation. I like that. On the 4-hour time frame, you've got your crop. Fucking what you like. Pardon me. I would never normally be so rude. Do you want to give some light on the wheel? Is the camera, the phone on? It is on. Low power mode. Well, I mean, any power is good at this stage. You're welcome, Komodo Dash. Right, so where was I again? Oh, damn it. Right, so yeah, stop doing that word. I don't think it looks like it has the volatility to explode from here, which it would need to do if the RSI was going to not put in a divergent peak. And as such, it may then not exceed that 470 target. What's this? 560. I'm gonna have to take this just to get a measurement of 786 retracement. Right. So I mean, you know, it's very dodgy taking this trade because there's an immediate area where it could break down at 4.28 and again at 492. You're targeting 470 on a break of 370 with a stop. Where is the stop? I mean, it has to be so tight, probably around 357 or where you are at the minute. And that would be taking it as it breaks through, probably with the market order, boom, in there. Maybe. I don't, but that's way too much like financial advice. I don't know. I mean, like, and also it's way personalized. You might do it completely different. And I don't know what I'm talking about, right? Actually, strike that from your memory. What I was talking about was what you'd like to see on price action. It would be it to break through 370 with force, partly because there's such immediate targets in front of you around 428 and 490. You would be looking for it to then, no, 470. You'd look for it to then break above 495 bucks and test 520. That's so much to ask for when it's breaking out of this formation, maybe, but you don't have a confirmation until you go through this prior high. And then you've also got the fake out zone of 489, after which you could just come all the way back down. And you could be looking at the chart we just looked at with a break of a channel underneath. You could be looking at the same thing up here. You know, so you're talking... along with those horizontals that just dropped in, you're talking about this is the target to break. This was the most recent retest that you could say represented some aspect of support. In advance of that, you know, it's like that's the important structural areas. If it breaks back down, you're back within this formation. You failed to break out of it and achieve anything significant, and you'd likely come back down, close any of the gaps it's got left, test down backside of this formation again, which would be a nightmare because if you break it, you know, it makes sense that you would come there 1618 extension, matching up with the bottom side of the channel, which you've not yet broken the previous high. From that prior formation, it all makes sense that you'd come right back down and test the low side of that formation, you know, and it'd be awful for that to happen right from a topside resistance, you know, so that's why it's important to manage your stop, because you could justify this trade a million different ways from different bounces within these parts of this move, because it itself isn't inherently negative. I'm going to have to borrow you because I need this to be working. Sorry, wire. So you're looking at syrup. So you're looking at this thing, taking it on a move there, or just waiting for it to come back, right, and finding its support. And where would that be? Right, well, probably the downside of this formation, somewhere awful down here. I didn't mean to draw that one. Oh no, and if it breaks down, I don't think it would stop at the 1618. It probably would find resistance on any retracement and would come down and you'd see it at less than half a cent. Which is a big call to be making on something. So I'm not making it. I would like to see it break up and continue what looks like a positive impulse from here, but it doesn't yet have any convincing nature about it because of the previous impulse was so very overbought in the end. Yeah, sure, you got a strong retracement, which normally the reaction off the back of that would, in context, not in context. You'd look at the fact that the RSI retracement here, having tested the center line more or less and pushed back into the bullish control zone, sounds very good. But when you look at price action coming up and testing the prior high, you see the RSI is not at its prior high. And that would suggest it's potentially bearishly divergent now if it comes back down. And to be doing something like that is a lot more likely when you've got a really, really overbought peak previously. But putting it in context again, that is breaking trend. So if it, these are just things to hold in your mind. None of them are definitive pieces of data until such times as we look back on it and see how the market decides. But what will the votes decide? That's why it's those two levels. Those two levels being break immediately where you are. And then, other than as I would manage risk across previous levels of support, looking for Fibonacci retracement levels and matching them up with confluence for real good TA and artifacts that we could look for together, I would say, why would you want to trade this at those levels? Why would you want to? It's only there when it breaks above it's presenting opportunity, or back when it's down at less than $1 that it looks like it would present an equally low risk opportunity. And in between, it's just some ticker. That's all it is, just some ticker. And afterwards and during, it's just some ticker. So what would be compelling about it, right? I wrote it down later that day in my diary. That's a real thing. Why would it make it into your trading journal or into your mind and occupy your thoughts? That's what I want to know. Not that I'm saying that it shouldn't. I'm just asking because, qualify to be in a noggin of that kind, Hey, Short Off, thanks again for the heads up. All fixed now. Good one. What was it? That's awesome. Thanks for that. Thanks for taking care of it, whatever it was, Lisa. Awesome. Turbine specialist. Oh my goodness. What are you doing with the turbine? The turbine specialist? What are you talking about? Is that your job? Really heavy crane lifting and hitting hard sledgehammering. Bang! Good on you, man. That's proper job, that, innit? That's a proper cheese sandwich. I'm hammering in the rivet. I'm riveting in my cheese sandwich factory. You're riveting the cheese sandwiches. They'd be some toasty cheese sandwich. The cam's frozen. What? Shorta? No! Yeah, so riveted cheese sandwiches, they're fantastic. That's my idea, right? I said it on the internet right there, so nobody steal it. Oh, wait a minute, that's how people steal it. Ah, shucks. Now I'm going to be done for. Get back in your box, phone. Anyway, I think all the batteries are dying. I think that's what it's telling me, folks. Get on to the nat gas for Komodo before everything dies. Nat gas. On spot. We're looking at the natural gas on spot. 200 period moving average up at 2 spot 3 and 4 hour. Where's that on the daily time? Daily time frame. Where's 200? Whoa. With the bullish divergence there. Right, this is a pretty good opportunity, yo. Partly because, I could start elsewhere and explain why it's already a good opportunity, but just take it as given that it's already a good opportunity and imagine me to have spent 7 or 8 minutes talking about it. And on top of all of that, we also have this bullishly divergent low, as you can see, the higher low on the RSI, lower low on price action. So that's very positive. And after that, price action may go in test of resistance. We can also see that in line with that, you had a test of the bearish control zone and price action exceeded it. So now we're looking for it to break the center line, be confirmation of that signal in line with it breaking. Now 50 simple period move is actually brilliant. At which point you would realistically look at, no, you wouldn't, you lunatic. You'd have other targets in advance of that. What do you think this is? Right? You'd be looking to break that 50 simple and test the prior high in here around $3, yo. $3, yes, sir, very much. 200 period moving average at 2.2, 2.3. That's not a significant level of resistance along the way. You're above the center line already, so blow right through it, please, buddy. Down to the 1 or 2 hour, are we seeing anything exciting down here? It's already exciting, isn't it? We're all excited right now. You're back in it. Oh my God, you have a moving average test. Oh my God, what are the chances that works out with the 200 period moving average? Also getting a positive move to the top side, but the 50 simple going through it with price action. Oh my God, I can imagine that happening. You know, after this, what people would look at as continuation divergence, coming back down, find the support of the previous low. Now you're going to go on and exceed that. Put it on a broad information. Volatility is high enough where it needs to be. Stochastics could turn around, but this is a tiny enough time frame, and you're at those important moving averages. So even if they did so turning around, don't expect it to involve price action necessarily doing the same. 1 hour time frame. There's your flashback at 2.476. Oh my goodness gracious me. Right, it's not financial advice. But if you do buy natural gas and it goes to 250, you'll be rich. That's the spot prices. Probably be best getting yourself some futures contracts, innit, sir? Commodidosh. You know, you can talk to Rocky about that, innit? So you could. And what we're looking at for here, we're looking at some serious price damage. That was nearly getting me in trouble appropriating other people's jokes in it there, innit? I went to pet a donkey. I want a pet donkey. Yeah, a pet donkey. How patronizing. Donkeys aren't pets. Oh my goodness. Yeah, donkeys aren't pets. Yeah, no, they come in, they're like the head of the household. No financial advice, but it can be reduced to common sense. They can distill it down to its purest form. You can use my jokes anytime you want. Oh, Sarah. Thanks. That's brilliant. I have a list of them. So I shall be doing that. Be right back. See you shortly. I'm a donkey like the one in Shrek. Are you shortly? Like, he's a pretty cool donkey, isn't it? He's alright. As far as donkeys go. So, I heard Will Smith has got a problem with that donkey, though. Isn't it like that, though? People just don't like donkeys. Some people have got a prejudice against donkeys. Bum 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 bum. You know that tune? So going to 250 on the natural gas. Yeah, 250. Yeah, it's not even 350, so it's like quite cool that it does that. And I think you want to be looking at the daily time frame on this thing and putting it in context, dragging it across here, saying that that's not all that much of a crazy retracement when you consider. $886, right? We were talking about we didn't explicitly say this, but the potential strength of a retracement having bounced from an 886 as opposed to any of these previous levels. Look at the 6-day flash. Commoddoshio. Well, okay. But what I'm looking at now is test that 50 simple period moving average there around 2.2, 2.3 on daily time frame, very, very easily having come into an 886. And if you start exceeding that, I'd be very, very excited. If I did look at it from that high to that low, 236 comes in at 2.85. That wouldn't be completely out of the question. If we take it from the right hand shoulder of this peak here, 236 at 2.650, that's very possible. And if we take it from the lowest point of that inflection, 2.5, 6 days, 6 days, he says, days 6. It's on the Oh, look at that. What a beautiful flash. What a beauty that was. Stretch him out then. Have you actually hit that flash on the nosios? I think that close enough is near enough on that one so far. Especially when you're trading nat gas being the ticker. This being a contract for difference, nat gas, Pepperstone, spot prices. Yeah, so I mean, I think that would be close enough. It's near enough. And if you're looking for that move, I don't think targeting 2.50 would be all that out of the question. Be a huge percentage move, of course. It would be entirely ameliorated in this downward sloping move. It wouldn't even be significant to see that kind of thing. It wouldn't be exceeding a 236. So in terms of a retracement from a very modest level, you wouldn't say that it was significant enough to put in defining moves with respect to the trend. And as such, it's not an overly ambitious target. Having got to this close to a potential entry, that matching 1886, it makes a lot of sense. And if you were to take then a move from 2 to 2.5 on natural gas, on futures contracts for natural gas, that could make a serious amount of dosh. Come on, dosh. Good shout. Thank you so much for bringing it to our attention. Right, I managed to get through them, even with a little bit of the headache poking back. And we made it through another brilliant week with a lot of things making a lot of brilliant moves. So I really hope that people are doing well and benefiting from things. And see you next week for more of the same. Thanks, everybody. Lots of love. Thanks for helping me this week, everyone. See ya. Get on Discord. Rocky out Chrome's Discord.